the schedule, which is really the end of this podcast is me talking about the schedule, I feel. I guess we should talk about the elephant in the room. Insane confusion about the schedule for this week, about drama and about all this stuff going on. I feel like part of it has nothing to do with me, and part of it has to do with me making a silly, honest mistake. And I guess people have created drama in the last like 48 hours. And I couldn't believe it. Like I came to my stream and people are like, oh my God, the schedule and smart guys and this and that and this. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. So anyway, here's what's going on. So as you know, I was on that show, Truth Seekers, on Thursday night, and it was entire thing was a trick basically, so that Steve could basically make content for my detractors and make a bunch of money, which he has, which is not a shock, right? Like he's made another stream. The stream made like $1,000, which is exactly what side scrollers did. And isn't that exactly what I said he would do on the show when I was on it? I literally said, so you're pulling a side scrollers. You're going to do exactly what they did. And he says, oh no, I'm not going to do that. And then he went ahead and did it anyway. Because that's what he does. I mean, he plagiarized the entire show from Kiwi Farms, and now he's plagiarizing the milking of the detractors from side scrollers, doing exactly what I said he would do to a T. Like it's like clockwork, actually. Okay.
And this is the same exact mentality or mindset that made him so insufferable in that Steve interview, and one of the reasons they got so hostile with him by the end. DSP manages to always think that he's right though, even when he's blatantly misrepresenting what exactly happened. Because at no point did Steve ever say that he wouldn't do more content on DSP, he simply said that he hadn't decided yet.
You made money tonight, you're going to make more content on this. That's just the game.
I haven't
right?
decided that.
But dude, that's
quite
the game.
honestly, Phil, sometimes I do the full court press like I just did on you tonight, and then I decide this grifter is not worth my time.
I guess after the show, he came to a decision, and imagine that, he decided to continue making content that people actually had an interest in seeing, and unfortunately for DSP, that's him. And maybe that's why he's termed this pulling aside scrollers, because making content that people actually want to see is such a new concept to DSP, he thinks that the side scrollers actually invented it. Now, the idea that Steve plagiarized Kiwi Farms for this interview is just laughable to me. Not only is all of that public information, hence why it's on the Kiwi Farms to begin with, it was meant to be public, but it's also, again, just another misrepresentation of what was said. Steve clarified multiple times in that show that he was finding his information online and verifying all of the data within it. That's it. I guess DSP has just never written a high school paper before, despite having graduated valedictorian. Because if he had, he would have the basic understanding that when looking up information on a topic with the intent of informing others on it, you don't actually have to do all of the experiments and create all of the data yourself. If you can actually just find multiple sources proving the information already gathered is accurate.
But I guess my detractors are so stupid they don't get that. They really are that dense and dumb. They don't understand that they're being milked. Again, this is the second time. Like they already saw it happen once and then saw nothing ever came of it. And now they're doing it again with someone else. They're that dumb. A fool and his money are easily parted, I believe is the saying, correct?
I just want to remind everybody that DSP is the person to tell you that if you enjoy content to please support, because that's how the content gets made. And that's why his critique of the side scrollers never held up when it was all about the money. And that's why it still doesn't hold up to this point now, because if the detractors enjoyed the content, if they enjoyed the bacon being cooked, then why wouldn't they throw him money? Why wouldn't they support that kind of content? He can say that the detractors are being milked, but if they enjoyed the content that much that they were willing to part with their money, I mean, that was their decision. In the same way that it's the dense decisions every single day. Speaking of fools being parted with their money easily.
So anyway, that happened. And then, as you know, we did our podcast the next day and I told you guys, yeah, I got fooled, but I don't really care. We're moving on and all of that. Right. So with all that going on, basically two things happened. Okay. So number one, on the Kino Casino on Friday night, they were having a segment about this at the very beginning, the very top of the show. Okay. And they were basically joking on both sides. They were saying positive things about me, but then taking shots at me. But then they were saying negative things about Steve, but then saying, basically they made a whole drama segment about it, which is what they do, right? And, I kind of feel like they're playing both sides on purpose because that's what benefits them, that they get content out of this, right? Like, probably that's the point, right? Is that not the point, to get content? Like, I feel like that was the whole idea to begin with.
But I thought that DSP was against this kind of bullshit drama content. I thought that he was a content creator out on his island alone who just wanted to create gaming content for his curated audience. What happened to that? watching the guy today, and he's completely rolled over and cucked out for any scraps that he can get from the casino drama farm. And I thought that it was exactly this type of nonsense, these scripted, predetermined drama storylines that DSP hates about LOLCal Live and why he didn't take that $50,000 from Keemstar. The Kino Casino fluffs his ego a bit and he does it all for free? That has to be actually the worst trade deal in history. And he might claim that the casino was saying both good and bad things about him and Steve, but anyone who can hear and understand the meaning of words could tell you that they are not saying positive things about DSP.
There's nothing that Phil could possibly do or be exposed as doing that would stop him from making money from retards online, because he's the best at it. It doesn't matter that you're seeking the truth, because with Dark Side Phil, the lies will always prevail, my friend. The power of Phil's lies and darkness will always outshine your light of truth, Steve.
I guess DSP is just like a baby in that you can say the worst things about him, and as long as you say it with a positive tone and inflection, he just doesn't really understand that it's a negative at all. Oh, to be so simple-minded.
So they did that, and then there was just an aside, like a quick line that PP had said. You know, after basically slandering Steve and saying, oh, he's a jerk and he went rogue, they said, and by the way, Steve, we'll see you on Tuesday, right? And that was it, and that was the end of it. So it was supposed to be like a side reference, like, haha, this whole thing's a joke to begin with, you know, we're still going to be friendly with Steve and everything anyway. So that happened, and immediately people are like, so now we don't know what's really going on, right? So in the meantime, to be clear here, all right, I spoke with PPP about all of this behind the scenes and everything. And, you know, everything is moving forward as planned. Like, we're still doing Smart Guys this Tuesday. You know, everything is fine. Okay. So all that's happening. And then I guess what happened was, when I was doing my schedule on Friday night, I completely screwed it up, and it's on me. This is me. My mistake is, I guess, the reason for the real controversy here. Like, I don't think anyone, let's be honest here. Does anyone think that Kino Casino are my best friends? Including me? No. And none of us ever felt that from the beginning, right? The whole idea here, right, is that they get content, but I benefit too. Like, we're all making out in this relationship that we've had ever since August of 2024, right? Like, we're all getting stuff out of it, and that's why it's continuing. If at ever there was no benefit to our relationship of working together on various projects and the like, then we would just stop. Like, what would the point be, right?
I would imagine that the point would be to continue to make fun content together that you guys enjoy making. I understand that this is their livelihoods, but at the same time, the content is supposed to be fun, and if the money is the only motivator, I doubt that any enjoyment is actually going to shine through. And if you need an example of this, look at pretty much all of DSP's content. But isn't it alarming that everyone in DSP's life seems to be treated this way? Every single person DSP seems to have a run-in with is used for everything that they're worth, and it's only after he benefits greatly that the person in one way or another winds up leaving the vortex. And every single relationship this guy has seemingly ever been a part of was purely transactional if you believe the stories that he tells and how he tells them. Does he not see any of this as an issue? Does he not wake up every day and wonder why no one from his past wants anything to do with him? A normal person would. And how pathetic did he sound asking everyone if they really thought that him and the casino were friends? There's just something about the scene of it all. Grown man talking about his friendship status with other grown men publicly like that. I mean, he was calling Andy his gaming soulmate and constantly stealing all of their vocabulary and mannerisms and name dropping them as much as possible in his own content. So I could actually understand why someone would get that impression. The whole thing just reeked of desperation. Like, the guy was so starved for social contact that he practically couldn't wait to start adapting their mannerisms.
All right. Allow me to tell you guys from my perspective what's going down this week. All right. Number one, I'm under no impression whatsoever that the guys from Kino Casino are my best friends. All right. Like I said, we've had a working relationship where we've made content together and it's worked. Okay. So there you have it. And we're going to continue to do that as long as it still works. And if at any point either side says, this ain't working, the content isn't good, it's not benefiting us, then we will stop. Right. Like, I'll be honest, for example, the last couple of times that I appeared on Kino Casino, all right, months and months ago, I don't think they benefited either side. I don't think they got a boost or any interest out of it, and I don't think I got a boost or any interest out of it. Certainly, I wasn't making any money or anything from it. So if you haven't noticed, I wasn't on the casino for the longest time, and that's intentional. You know, if there was a reason for me to go back, if something was going on, and if there was actually like a topic, then then we'd be more interested in doing it. But, you know, people ask me for the long time, would you be on Casino again? And I'm like, I mean, I would, but what's the point? Like, we tried it. It wasn't working. It was getting boring, was it not? So that's why we cooled it down, which is what you do, right?
I mean, it depends. If you enjoyed making the content and some other people enjoyed watching the content for what it was, there could definitely be an argument made to continue going on, but that's besides the point. Because I think that the main point here is, once again, that this is, according to DSP, strictly professional. They aren't friends, they aren't lovers, they aren't boyfriends, just dudes making content, and the second that the content goes awry, the whole thing is over. And I think that's just such a weird stance for him to have when everyone can see how head over heels he really is for triple bypass. That's what I call him. He let the man spit in his face and fuck his wife if it meant that he could have PPP carry his stream for the day and make the money for him. He's just been so enamored with these two guys from the casino since this whole arc started that I find it impossible to believe that he has no personal feelings towards Ashton, even in a totally normal, friendly, hetero way. I really think that this is just him setting up for the escape. He knows better than anybody by now that nothing in his life ever really seems to go right, and usually it's his own doing. So by saying this now, when things inevitably go south in the future, he can point back to this and justify whatever actions he takes because it was always about the content and the money, dude. I guess it goes to show you just how displeased he really was after that interview, that this is where we're at, setting up the escape.
So yeah, like in my opinion, moving forward, there's a working relationship. Sometimes when we make content together, it works and it's interesting. Right? I mean, I think Smart Guys is working. I think it's a show that, even though it doesn't have a giant audience, it has an audience that's building, that enjoy wrestling commentary. I'm enjoying getting back into wrestling again. The show is finding a little bit of traction. It might get more traction if we stick with it and if we find what it needs to be, because we've tried a couple different formulas, right? We tried it, you know, just being wrestling. We tried it being drama. We tried a combination of the two. I think we're going to eventually reach that perfect mix where things are going to go well. Super Bonchan says, I should do another casino appearance where they introduce me to more lol cows. I mean, I guess they could, but is that entertaining? Like I said, I think the first couple appearances that I had on the show worked really well because it was me being exposed to a new audience, that audience being exposed to me for the first time. But after doing it a few times, like, I'll be honest, I think when I appeared in October, and the whole idea was that we were all going to dress up like Ghostbusters and we were going to do this show kind of Felting Ralph, Ethan Ralph, and all of that, it just kind of fell apart because at the same time the Review Tech drama was happening with him breaking down and deleting his channel and all that shit. So because everything happened at once, it kind of lost momentum of the idea that we had. And when I appeared on the show, it was very disjointed. Like, we didn't really know where to go with it. And on top of that, I mean, I'm not even going to lie to you. Earlier that day, do you remember I had done DSP Tries at Taco Bell? And it was killing my guts. So I was sitting there on the show, bloated as hell, trying to be entertaining, and it did not work. Seriously, like, I know it didn't work. Like, that appearance was kind of a bust.
So far in this segment, he's said that all of the guys involved in this are making out, that something was destroying his guts, and now that the appearance was a bust. It's like he just can't get away from sounding incredibly sus every time he talks about these people. And I think that it's just hilarious how consistent it is. You'd almost think that it was intentional at some point. I do love his excuse for the poor performance during the Halloween-style show, though. Obviously, it was the Taco Bell before that had ruined his ability to entertain. It couldn't have been his annoying voice or terrible opinions or lack of comedic talent. It was definitely the Taco Bell. It's just amazing how he always has some sort of excuse that no one can debunk, right? Because how could you tell him that he felt fine and that the food wasn't hurting his stomach? Just going to show you exactly why he has all of these excuses at the ready every time, because it's the easiest way to just always be right, or rather, the easiest way to never take responsibility for his own shortcomings.
And then after that, they wanted me to be on for the politics show. And I was like, are you sure? Because I really don't think like that last appearance worked, you know, but they really, really wanted me to be on the politics show. So I went on there and I think that went all right. But the problem was I wasn't going to clear my whole schedule to be there all night for the politics show. So I showed up for like, 45 minutes when Trump was in the process of being elected. And I think that worked for the short blip that it was. I think it did actually work. It was entertaining. But after that, like, we just didn't really have many or any ideas of stuff to do on either end. Like, if I had come up with a good idea, I would have, presented it to them too. But, so it is what it is, right? And then when Smart Guys presented itself as an idea and we started working on it, I was, oh, this was working, so let's roll with this, right? So that's how it works.
Maybe it's because I'm not a professional content creator like the guy over here, but I really don't like the idea that this guy goes on to other people's shows, does poor performance-wise, and then talks about the lackluster experience on his own show like this. It just seems poor form and a little disrespectful to the people that he was working with, and completely counterintuitive, might I add, to the entire concept of garnering more viewership on past content. I'm not going to pretend that every video or stream that I've done has been 10 out of 10 amazing or anything, but I'm also not going to go out and point out the issues with them either. It just seems so pitiful and once again disrespectful to the people who actually hosted the content and still stand to make money from the on-demand clips, you know? Sure, maybe they don't care what he has to say, but it's a courtesy thing to just move on positively and allow the content to speak for itself. Again, especially when it's not on your own channel. DSP is really just the worst person to go into a venture with, because the only person he ever really takes into consideration is himself.
I hope this makes sense to everyone. Okay, I mean, it's logic, right? When you talk about it this way, it makes sense. You realize there's not secret dealings and plannings and snakings and all kinds of crap behind the deal. The scenes, it's never happened. It's just do some work together from time to time and it works out or it doesn't, right? You know, there were stretches of time I didn't talk to them for a while, and there was sometimes when we talk a lot because we're involved in stuff. You know what I mean? Anyway, so all this going on this week, you know, it all went down this way. And, you know, from my perspective, after talking to PPP, we're going to move forward with our content. All right. We're going to do Smart Guys. It's going to keep going. And all that is fine. I 100% confirmed with PPP that we're doing Smart Guys on Tuesday. Okay.
I'm just confused as to why he would have to confirm with PPP that they're going to be doing the show Tuesday night if it was simply a scheduling error on his behalf. That just doesn't make sense. Of course, he would assume that it was a joke and just continue to move on. Him confirming with PPP actually just makes me think that he's less certain than he's letting on. And maybe that's why earlier, like I said, he was setting up his fall. He was giving himself an inevitable out. Because otherwise, why would there be this big to-do like there is right now? Why wouldn't he just get on stream and say, yeah, I accidentally wrote the wrong thing, my bad, let's continue. Simply to have something to talk about and continue to derail the stream? That would go directly against everything that DSP claims that this pre-stream stands for.
And I confirmed that, you know, moving forward, it was kind of, you know, they're going to keep joking about everything. They're going to joke about me. They're going to joke about Steve. I mean, that's what they do. They're a drama commentary show, right? This is what that's their content. So they're going to bring it up. They're going to be doing that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. I've already told you guys, they can say whatever they want about me. They literally went out of their way last year to be nice to me and help me out a ton. You know, like, okay, I'll be dead honest with all of you. Ready? Because I think people need more honesty these days and transparency. Like literally right now, if Kino Casino came out with a statement and says, from now on, we're just going to felt Phil. We've had enough of being nice to him. It's not working. And now we just want to make fun of him constantly. I'd be like, good luck in the future. Thanks for everything you did up to now, but you know, that's the route I can't go. I'm not going to get into a feud with them because I don't do that, right? You guys don't want that kind of content. I don't want that kind of content. So more power to them. If they turn me into just one of their lolcow subjects for their show moving forward or whatever, so be it. Not a big deal. Seriously, like, I just don't care.
And this is exactly why earlier I said that DSP would let them spit in his face and fuck his wife. Because he really is as cucked as he could possibly be. There really are some things that just shouldn't be said on stream. And for him to publicly acknowledge that there is essentially no way for him to retaliate if the Kino Casino did decide to switch teams, I don't know, I just think that that's one of those things. Why would you play your cards like that and show your whole hand? Because if they feared any repercussions before, they absolutely do not now. And I really do just want to point out how sad it is that DSP even found himself in this position, because it really is a rough spot to be in, and I think that's one of the reasons why DSP is the way that he is. All this social isolation, all of this personal betrayal behind the scenes with all of these random people, it's no wonder this guy really is paranoid side Phil about half of the time.
Do I really care about Steve either? No, I don't care about any of this. I personally don't benefit from this at all. If you haven't noticed, like, a lot of people are, oh, all this drama, Phil will benefit. What actually exactly do you think I could benefit out of all of this, to be frank? Like, really, what exactly do you think is going to come from any of it that would benefit me, right? I didn't even make anything extra on Friday. You might say, oh, you made your goals. Well, I'm in my goals, and there was one extra goal. But at the same time, I ended up doing like a super long podcast I didn't even want to do, right? I didn't want to have anything to do with that, okay? So Yeah, listen, if fun content comes out of it that I like and I'll benefit from, I'll keep doing it. And if not, and they want to move on and basically turn the whole thing into a 3-ring circus of drama so they benefit, they could do that. And I don't really care. All right. I think people want me to like explode and respond and say, oh my God, I'm so upset. I've been snaked and this and that. And it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? I just don't care. I've got, like I said, I'm so busy right now. I will be so busy, okay, moving forward with all this stuff that I don't really care. I'm going to have games to play. We're going to have all this stuff going on the next few months. Finally, gaming's going to pick up, right? I'm actually going to have an awesome setup to cover all the new stuff for the first time ever. I will actually be up on everything, okay? So, yeah, I don't care.
So after months and months of this guy propagating all of this new content that he was doing and all of these new people that he was going to be working with and all of these interviews and shows that he was going to do, and would you look at that, pretty much none of it was successful, and we're right back to where we started, waiting on new games to come out so that we can just grind them out and make as much money off of the same people as possible. It really just makes you wonder what's even the point of doing all of these weird branching side quests that DSP decides to do. It's just amazing to me how many times DSP can try and do something new just to come back and be in the exact same spot time after time. I guess that's what makes him such a great lolcow. It doesn't matter how long you're gone, when you come back, he's gonna be pretty much in the same spot. Sure, maybe he's got new lights in the background, maybe he's got a new computer or two, but he's still just gonna be playing video games and he's gonna be playing them poorly. And if he's not now, he will be eventually.
All right. So it's just funny to me. So I made a mistake. I made a typo on my schedule, right? Because I was like in a rush to get out of here so I could have time with my family. And I basically get, I somehow inadvertently created this like drama over the weekend, I guess. I don't know. Because I made a typo on my schedule. Do you see how silly this all is? How stupid it is to me? It's hard for me to even care about any of this shit. It's just so dumb. But I guess some people love it. Again, people on the internet love their drama. The truth is, it really sucks because I don't care about you. As you know, I'm not this kind of person. I don't watch reality TV outside of like silly competition shows and stuff like that. Like I've never watched The Real World. I never watched The Kardashians and shit like that. I don't watch Real Housewives. You know what I mean? I don't watch any of that stuff. I actually hate it. Like no exaggeration. I can't take it. I think it's ultra cringe. And it seems like everyone on the internet is desperate to create their own internet drama stuff and get their piece of the pie. And then they've pulled me in over the years and I've become part of this drama sphere completely against my will. Like I never wanted to be involved in any of it, right? To this day, I just don't care. Now, I'll play the game when it makes sense. I'll play the game when it benefits people. You know what I mean? If it benefits me or if it benefits others or whatever, but I'm not going to be constantly involved in it because I just don't give a shit. And some people would say, well, you see, you squandered your chance because you had your chance in the fall. Everyone was interested in you because of this new take on you and everything. And instead of doing drama content, which is what you should have done and fully invested yourself in it, you went back to video games. It's like, I didn't go back to video games. I never left video games. Because that's where my content lies and always will. That'll always be the core. I'm not saying that moving forward, I won't change to do more things because I want to. If you haven't noticed, I have absolutely expressed the last several years, I want to be taken seriously as a podcaster because I know that playing games all day, every day when I'm older isn't going to work. Right? I think we all know that, right? So there you go.
And this is one of the parts that irritates me the most about all of these little pity parties that DSP loves to throw for himself. He really had no business going into drama content given his past and who he is as a person. He railed on everybody who was speaking out on his name for years and years. Yet when it comes to him doing the exact same thing, he's willing to play the game if he or someone that he cares about is going to benefit from it, ultimately making him no better than anybody else that he's pretty much ever talked badly about. So all this nonsense talk about drama grifters this and detractors ruining his life that, it's all bullshit when you remember that he is willingly playing this online game every so often whenever he sees fit. He just also happens to have the personality of the kid who would call timeout right before you tagged them on the playground.
So I want to do a podcast every day that people tune in like. And I think that I've done a pretty good job with that over the last couple of years, doing this show and doing more with it. And I hope that you guys like what the show's become at this point, and we'll continue to have new segments and improve and things like that. You know what I mean? So there you go. That's number one. Okay. But yeah, like I don't really care about any of this. I'm not, you see, to me, I actually am legit bored with drama. I'm legitimately bored. To me, it's the least interesting thing. It's not even worth getting upset about because every moment someone's going to do a new video. Someone's going to say something horrible. You know what I mean? Every single moment, someone's going to just do it. So I don't care. They've pulled me into their drama sphere and I guess they're never going to let go, but it doesn't mean that I have to play their game. Right? At all. So I don't care. All right. Now,
So I think it's pretty safe to say that DSP is easing himself out of the casino. I think he's plotting his escape route, I think he's setting up his cushions for his inevitable ending, and I think it's really only a matter of time before PPP pushes the wrong button and the whole shit show comes to an end. At least before that happened though, we did all get to see DSP squirm in one final interview. And yes, I really do think that that is going to be the final interview for DSP, at least for a very long time. If you've seen it, you know exactly what happened and why, but if you haven't seen it, I would recommend that you go and watch it. I'll try and remember to put a thing in the description. That's going to be it for today's video though. Hopefully you liked it enough to come back for the next one. Until then, be safe. Goodbye.
Let's be honest here. Does anyone think that Kino Casino are my best friends? Including me? No.